Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Okay, it is now my pleasure to introduce our main speaker tonight. Fabulous, Michael.
My name's Michael Pascal. I'm an alcoholic. Man, I'm really lucky to be here, and I'm part of the Seconds and Inches Club, and it's a really exclusive club, and I know there's a few members here tonight, and we all had our journey. Might as well start in the beginning. Got plenty of time. I'm white, which I know doesn't mean much now, but you'll understand later. You will. You know, I want to thank Alan for asking me to participate in my sobriety. I've been coming to this meeting consistently for almost 20 years. And I remember when I got here how poorly I felt about myself. I felt so bad about who I was and what I represented. I could barely walk in the meeting. And it's so different today. So if you're new and you're not feeling too good about yourself, you are not alone. And this is a tough meeting to feel that way. It really is. I remember when I was brand new, this guy used to pull up out front of the meeting over on Rodeo, and he had this red Ferrari and this hot girlfriend. And both I was very interested in, probably more the car at the time. And I remember thinking, if I could have his life, everything could be okay. And I can tell you something that's a miracle. I'm so grateful for my life. I don't want to be anybody else in the room. And it seemed like I needed to be anybody else but myself when I first got here. I felt that uncomfortable. He's dead, actually. I heard that he died a long time ago from this disease, and it's just the way it goes. I was born here in Los Angeles. I'm born and raised in LA. I lived my first 10 years in Inglewood, California. Born to a family of 5 kids, Irish, Italian, Catholic family. We went to private schools. My dad believed in education. In fact, at one time we were all... Where are you going, man? So, I'm white. No. Whatever, man. Parking lot sobriety is great. I'm grateful for it, man. I had a lot of parking lot sobriety in my life, and it's all good. You know, my first... It's fine, man. Anybody else who wants to leave, why don't we all do it at once, just to get it over with? Doesn't affect me. It's good, man. It's good. I feel like I should sit down. I had a very interesting childhood. My dad was a workaholic because he was putting 5 kids through a Catholic school, and my mom was an alcoholic. And all I could remember was her drinking Spinata and eating Uno chocolate bars. That's it. That's all I remember. She loved chocolate, and she loved, he's not leaving, actually. The winner's seat right there, buddy. My first addiction was fire. And I just want to talk about that for 2 seconds. If it burnt, I lit it, and I was burning everything, and it's like my alcoholism. It just got bigger and just larger, and the fire trucks got bigger, and I was young. I was in like first, second grade, and I remember the look, oh God, and I was always there for the fire, and always, because I was always like, God, there's a fire over there. And they figured it out because they're like, God, that kid is always at the fires, man. And I had that little look where they're thinking it can't be him, but how we do it, man. We got to talk about it a little bit. And so a lot of trouble behind that. A lot of fire marshal, and police, and all that activity at a very young age. And, I have like 25 years off fire. And I do, actually. It's a miracle. And that question was always looming, like, what's wrong with Michael? What's wrong with Michael? And I always heard that in the background, and there was never an answer. I was always in after-school programs. I was always staying after school. I lived in the principal's office. I was as defiant as it gets. I was that kid that you didn't want your kid hanging out with. And I was fighting a lot, and I'll tell you, my mom chose me to, my mom beat me within an inch of my life for 12 years of my life. And it was just interesting because, all those times I'm at the hospital and she's telling me what to tell him, and I can't tell him the truth. It's not like how it is today. And I was the only one getting it out of the 5 kids. It's not why I'm an alcoholic, but it sure did make me feel different. And, all 4 of my siblings have come to me and talked to me about watching it as they were growing up, and they've all come to me and made amends, and he said, we just didn't know what to do. And, that went in for a long time. And what it gave me was a real warped perception about love and authority. Your parents are supposed to love you and kind of guide you in the right direction, and I wasn't getting much of that at home. It made me really angry, and I was fighting a lot, and I fought all the way till I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. And my mom left my dad with the 5 kids, and now we have no supervision at all. We have 5 kids, and we moved up to Hancock Park, and we live in this great neighborhood. We have this beautiful house, and the house is like Delta House. It's House of the Rising Sun. There's no lawn and 10 cars on the driveway, and Grateful Dead and Pink Floyd and Neil Young and murals and acid and mushrooms and weed and scales, and there's no furniture downstairs because it's all gone, because that's where the band sets up on the weekend, and I'm serious. It's so out of control. My dad moves out, right? And he moves in about a half a mile away. He moves out of the house and moves into an apartment because he can't sleep anymore in the house. And it's so far out of his hands, he just has to move. He's totally surrendered. So now I have 0, and I'm really getting into some serious trouble. I have hair down on my butt. I got a brush in my pocket. and you know, and I'm on drugs, and all my brothers are older than me. I've been going to Grateful Dead shows since I was 13 on lots of different things. And just so you know, it always began with alcohol and it ended with alcohol. But boy, there was lots of stuff in between, let me tell you. And so it was nice house, our house, nice house. And it was a very interesting childhood. And my mom left my dad, and my dad was bringing up the 5 kids. I'm not going to school. I'm trafficking drugs. I'm 14 years old. I'm riding my little motocross bike across town to deliver quarter pounds of weed and mushrooms, and it was just ridiculous. And then my dad, and I can remember, this man was watching us, a neighbor was watching us for a year, and he was inappropriate. He abused me sexually. It must have been the hair, I don't know. And it's just part of my story. It's not why I'm an alcoholic either, but I had an interesting childhood. So now I'm 15 years old. I'm angry. I have no real sense of authority. I have no sense of love, and now I have a sexual problem, and I have no tools, nothing, and nobody's there. Nobody's there to bring me up, and I'm like a caged animal, and I'm completely out of my mind, and I'm getting in trouble with the law, and I'm in and out of Eastlake Juvenile Hall, and then I'm into the court system, and I'm 15 years old, and I'm in the front of the judge again, and my dad works for the Superior Court system. By the way, I forgot to tell you, he works at the courthouse, and he was one of the guys, and dragged his name through the mud, let me tell you. And I was 16 years old, and I was completely incorrigible. And my dad we had went to court for something. I had sold a pound of mushrooms to a cop, and I thought I was all good. I thought he got that's taken care of, and he signed some documents, and he gave me to the state of California because he made me a ward of the court, and he signed a paper saying I'm incorrigible, and he gave me to the youth authority system that's run by the state of California. And it's really a serious place to be at 15 years old. And it was really, it was a real wake-up call for me. Not that things changed too much after that, but I remember them taking me away. And my dad told me later, I just thought you were just going to kill somebody. And I thought you were going to kill yourself. I just couldn't sleep anymore. He hadn't slept for years. I was completely out of control. I just had no bearings at all. I was the kind of person you didn't want anything to do with. Every time I went to my house, it was just bad. Then I moved back to the home, and he sold the house, and everybody moved out except for me, because I had nowhere to go. And I can remember the new owner coming and saying, listen, you got to go. The whole house is empty except for my room. Nothing's touched. And I told him, if you call the police, I'm going to burn it down. And he actually knew I was telling him the truth because he lived right next door. He had bared witness to everything for 7 years. He had seen all the police officers and all the carnage. I mean, carnage. They got me out, and now I'm on the streets. I lived on the streets for 10 years with no address. I was in and out of county and state facilities for 10 years. I had nothing, and I was running the streets, doing drugs and alcohol, and I really like to do crime. By the way, I just want to put that out there. I'm the kind of guy that really knows how to crime. I gotta tell you, man, I have that special mind. that is invaluable, believe me. I remember always doing the crime, and they'd look at me and they go, he's not doing that, because, you coming back? So I love to crime and I love to do crack. That's my deal. And crack changed my life. I remember I was in handcuffs within 24 hours of my first hit. True story. And I was in handcuffs within 24 hours of my last hit. The last time I slipped, I was in handcuffs within 24 hours. I'll never forget it. And I like to get right to it. I do not want to waste time. So I was on the streets for 10 years, and I had no address, and I'm living in cars. But my sister had gone to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I had followed her kind of. And in fact, one of the guys that took a cake here tonight, LW, took me to my first meeting over 20 years ago. He came by my house. I'm in this weird place that I'm living, and he says, let's go to a meeting. And I remember smoking crack up until he came to pick me up. And I remember smoking crack in the bathroom at the break. And then they magically had a seat in the front row after the break for me. And I'm like, I don't think this is going to work out. I'm sweating, and I just feel horrible. I did not stay sober since then. I'm a chronic slipper. I was in and out for 9 years while I was doing crime and living on the streets. I was living downtown in a few different missions. And my buddy that was trying to get me sober, he said, let's go to a meeting. Your sister's going to be there. It's Sunday night. And he pulls out front of Ohio Street, and he goes, go right through that door. And it was a Pacific Group meeting. And he goes, I'm going to go park the car. And I never saw him again. But I was in the group. I'm in the Pacific Group, and I'm trying to get sober, and I'm not doing too well, and in and out. And I remember being in a room. I was living in my car, and this girl was sitting in front of me. She had huge red hair, and she kept on moving around. I'm like, fucking stop. I'm trying to look at the speaker, and I tapped her on the shoulder, and I said, listen, is there any possible way that you can stop moving your hair and your head? She had the huge afro. And she turned around and she said, listen, you fucking slipper, you loser, blah, blah, blah. You can't stay sober. And she let me have it in front of everybody. And I'm like, oh, I gotta be with this woman. So, true story, man. And I was really excited, actually. And, I lived with her for 2 years. And she had a car and an apartment. It was good. So we moved to the Valley. She's a Jewish girl from Encino. I'm crazy, and I have nothing. And she has a Jeep and an apartment. And I got to tell you something. I'm 2 years sober. She's like 3 years sober. We're in the 99-cent store. I'll never forget it. And we're just like getting our stuff. And we're like AA Life. And, I said, I want to use. And she said, so do I. And I'll never forget it. It was like the purple cart right to the crack pipe. I mean, like in a fucking minute, man. And that night she had she OD'd that night. And I left her. Yeah. Exactly. I'm like, I'm thinking she's on the floor, and I'm like, what is she doing? I got a substantial amount of cocaine. I'm ready. I've been waiting two and a half years for this. So I went downtown where I like to go, and they don't pass out downtown if you didn't know that. That's where I like to party. I like to party downtown. And she moved out of that house. I'll never forget all the Al-Anon women showing up after she did the hospital. And I remember all these Al-Anon women come in the house, and it's 7 a.m. She's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm moving out. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then, so they gathered all her stuff, and then they're going to grab the VCR and TV. And I'm like, I need that actually when I'm using. So, I need it like air, So she left it, thank God. And I lived in this house, and it's bad. And the helicopters are coming, and all the time, and my neighbors are always looking at me, and I'm so loaded this one weekend where I can't even hold the crack pipe in my mouth, and I have the frying pan on the thing, and I'm just throwing rocks in the frying pan and just putting my head over it with a towel. Like this. And then I'm calling hookers, and I got a towel, and I'm slimed, and I'm like geeking around. You know, I like to party naked, so and it's all bad. It's bad. And I'm calling these girls out of the LA Express, and I'm opening the door with the towel, and I'm like, come in, and they're like, no. And I'm like, you're a hooker, you know, come on. So, whatever. It's fucking scary in there, and everything's, you know, it's got a glaze around everything, and it's all bad. And at one point, I come running out of my house naked with my hands in the air, and I'm screaming, I'm unarmed, I'm unarmed, I'm unarmed. And my neighbors are like, oh, and they're having a barbecue, and they're all looking at me, and I'm like, it's bad. And I figure out after standing there for long enough that nobody's there. So I go back in the house, and now you think they're definitely coming, right? So, that's my life, man. I love to smoke crack and do crime, yeah. So, and I was living in the Valley anyway, so the odds are against me out there. You know, just to be in the 818, you know, and because I grew up out here, and it's very hot out there, and when you smoke crack all day, it's bad. So, in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous for 9 years. I'm a chronic slipper. I was raising my hand forever. My sister was going to get me a cord that I just pulled from the side, you know, like a whole apparatus. So I didn't have to strain myself anymore. She's still sober 20 years. I'm coming up on 12. And I was just a damaged young child when I got here. I was like the most broken toy in the room that felt so bad about himself that just could not stay sober. And I'm going to talk about my last slip, and then I'm going to tell you what happened since then. My last slip, I remember going to this guy's house. I'm almost 3 years sober. I'm going to take him to rehab, and he's looking for coke. He's looking for crack, and I'm like, let's go. My buddy bailed out on the 12-step call. I ended up getting loaded that night, and I remember taking the first hit. And I just grabbed it like, what are you doing, man? And I'm sober, almost 3 years. And I remember taking the hit and him saying, don't worry, it's going to be cool. We're going to party. Don't worry. He knew I was sober. He's like, don't worry. Everything's cool. Everything's cool. We're going to party. And then the next morning, he's like, you got to get out. You got to get out. I don't like to do this like this. I don't like to party like this. And I'm like, dude, I fucking live here now, man. My roommate's sober 14 years. I now live here. I'm just telling you, that's the deal. And I'm the crack monster, right? So come on in. So you know, he said, if you don't get out of here, I'm gonna call the police. And he did. And thank you. So you know, he called the police, and the police were there in like a minute. He's like, if you don't leave, then I'm going to call the police. We'll both go to jail. Long story short, the cops came. They handcuffed me. They handcuffed him. And they found my dad's card. They let me go. Whatever. He went to jail. Long story. It's fucking crazy. I used to wait at my dad's office for him to come to... I used to wait for him to come to work so I can get money from him. And I'm on the streets, and I'm in and out of AA, and I'm living at the Midnight Mission, and I used to walk in his office and get money from him. And I used to walk in his office and get money from him. I remember one particular day, I got a bunch of money, and I lost it in a second. I came right back, and he handed me all the money in his pocket. He goes, I never want to see you again. You're a career criminal. You jeopardize everything that I work for. There's going to be a restraining order out in 15 minutes. You know, and that's what we do. And then 5 years ago, he was he retired from that job, and he says, I'm his favorite. I'm the one, he says, you're the one I don't worry about anymore out of all 5 kids. And I went to the retirement party at the Biltmore Hotel, and there was 400 people there, and there was like 4 or 5 judges that had put me away, and every time they saw me, I'm in a fucking jumpsuit chained to 5 other guys. And I'm in there with a suit and tie, and I'm not misrepresenting myself. I'm sober now 5-6 years, and they're like, they know I've been to AA. They know that AA saved my life. It's the most profound thing that's ever happened to me. It's the only thing that's ever happened to me. And my dad, all these people got up to talk about my dad's career, and then he goes, I want you to get up and speak to these 400 people about our family. And, he chose me out of the whole family to talk to everybody. Now, how does that happen? It only happens here. And I am so lucky to be sober. I've been kidnapped. I've been shot. I was stuffed in a closet for a day and a half. I was stuffed in a room down at South Central for a day. I was in a closet in the worst place, and people were looking for me, and I could hear people like, where's Michael? Where's Michael? And this guy's got a gun to my head saying, you say a word, I'm going to pull the trigger. I was held for a bad drug debt once, and I was taken to the most horrible place you've ever seen. And I'm a miracle of Alcoholics Anonymous. When I came back to AA 12 years ago, I'd been living on the street so long, I was an indigent, and I was homeless, and I was on general relief and disability and food stamps. And my feet were so infected, it's just like I could barely even walk. And somebody said, what's wrong with you, Michael? And I just said, my feet are in really bad shape. And I'll never forget going to the doctor, and he peeled the socks off me, and he's like, what happened to you? Where have you been? And I told him, I've been on the streets, and I'm trying to get sober. He goes, we need to operate right away. You have some major infection going on here. And, that's who I am. I'm the guy that lives on the streets, that's yellow, and I'm just not in good shape. I felt so bad when I came to AA. I used to have to go 2 blocks away to the local gas station to use the bathroom because I didn't think I could use the bathroom at AA. And a lot's changed for me. I feel really good about myself today. And, I got a little apartment, and I got another little apartment, and I just didn't think AA was going to work for me. I thought it would work for everybody else, but I'm just too sick. I'm just too damaged. I don't deserve love. I wish AA would work for me. And I came back, and I surrendered, and I got on my feet, and I got a sponsor, and I started working those steps. And I started working 4 and 5, and I started feeling comfortable myself. Like in step 2, it just says, I just want to be right-sized. I just want to have the right feeling about myself. It talks about just being comfortable and being right-sized. And I feel right-sized today. I feel like everything in my life is right where it's supposed to be. I'm so overpaid in Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous has overpaid me in every area. I just can't tell you, if you're new, what's possible here. And I'm extra sick, so I go to extra meetings. And I stay extra close. And I'm extra honest. And I have a good life today. I just bought a home in a beautiful neighborhood right near the beach, and it's a miracle. And my neighbors know nothing about me. And except for one lady that I think that's been on the internet with my last name. She asked me how to spell my last name a couple times, and and she hasn't looked at me since, so whatever. But you know what? It's none of my business. It really isn't. I feel good. I don't misrepresent myself. I have a good quality of life. I really, really do. And I felt brand new for the first 9 years of my sobriety. And after I took my 9-year cake, I felt like I had finally put together some time. I finally felt comfortable. I knew that I was ready to scratch the surface of something really special that I had seen happen here. And it's true. I'm in a full state of surrender. AA has saved my life. And I can't tell you in such a short amount of time what it's given me, but it's just given me everything. If you're new, anything's possible here. It really, really is. And two things that they told me and I didn't believe when I first got here is that, you know, I do deserve love and I'm not too damaged to recover. And those are two things that I absolutely didn't believe. And I found out later that it's just bad information that I walked in here with. I'm not a bad guy. I've just made some interesting choices in my life. And I wouldn't change anything. I really, really wouldn't. I have a good life today. And if you're new, please stay. Know that anything's possible. And thanks.
Hey everybody, Alan, alcoholic.
God, what a great guy. He was so funny. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst and one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.